Welcome to Armchair Safari, where I pick some design off the internet and we try to learn from that. So we're going to go through some really interesting stuff today, and we're going to try to look at the good, the bad, and if it works for a user. But that's what we usually do. And tonight, since it's a little bit later than usual, we're going to do something slightly different. So this is going to be more for inspiration. Tonight, we're going to be looking at Sam's designs here. You probably know Sam, you've probably seen his stuff. This design specifically went super viral a couple of weeks ago. So follow Sam on X at Sam Dape or SAMDAPE. Now, this design is really, really cool. It's like really it's a fun sort of thing. He's like created a run app based on like ballpoint ink pen drawings, and the concept is super creative. But this is not what I want to talk about because Sam has been sharing a lot of super interesting design for a very long time. And the thing that I'm mostly interested in is his. This is another one that went viral months ago. His folding map. Apparently, he did the whole thing in Figma. I haven't tried to recreate it, but it's a super interesting concept. I would love to. I would love to try it at some point. But Sam has been, like I said, Sam has been sharing some really interesting stuff over the years, and one thing in particular, I just absolutely love. And I want to talk about Sam's TextOS project that he's been like sharing and running for quite a long time. So TextOS is a completely monochrome version of most common apps that are available today. And I'm not even sure what the exact constraint is. But what I love about this is how Sam has been using just a really extreme constraint to bring out his own creativity. So here, what he's done is he's basically said, we're not going to use icons and we're not going to use colors. We're just going to use text, and that's pretty much it. Now he's added slight graphical details, mostly lines, and they've gotten progressively more skeuomorphic over time. Skeuomorphic is just a fancy word for imitating something it is not. So when you're in 2D making something that looks like a 3D actual object, that's skeuomorphic. But what is so incredibly cool about this is that by limiting himself to just having text and just using monochrome, he's like derived a really interesting level of simplicity from this. So in this case, we're looking at a navigation app, and I can't think of a single thing more I would like to see here. It has a to where we're going indicator. It has a arrival by indicator. It has the map, the roads, and the road we're traveling on highlighted and where we are highlighted. It also has the next couple of turns to think about. Now, this is an American map, so it has basically only 90-degree angle roads, but it's still such a cool concept to just be able to take something as complex as a map during navigation and bring that down to a couple of words and a couple of lines. This version, this is a sleep tracker. Now, so this starts becoming a little bit more not skeuomorphic, but this captures, I think, it becomes a little bit more fancy than the navigation app. I think this is a later design, but here the concept is so incredibly clear because there are some lines, but mostly what we're looking at is just text OS. And I love this because text is the universal interface for data, and it's just so creative, like what you can do with just the text and just the contrast of the text. We can see like, okay, over time, not just how much he's been sleeping, but also what's the average, what was the last day's sleep time, and everything is just super clear. Like everything is here, despite there being almost nothing on the screen. This is his weather app, which I absolutely love because of the animation. It's ASCII art, or I'm not even sure if it is ASCII art or if it's an approximation of ASCII art. The cloud is ASCII art, but I don't think the rain is. Either way, like this is just such a cool minimal representation of what it needs to be. I mean, think about when you open an app today, when you open your phone today, when you open an app, you are immediately distracted by so many things going on. It's not just the notifications, it's also the little unchecked icons and the little like all of the color flourishes and everything, and it's designed to suck you in, and this is the total opposite. It feels incredibly calm because the only thing you can see is the text or icon you read, and that is the information that you're looking for. There's nothing else. I just absolutely love this. This is a more complicated app, so this is actually something that would be a functional app. I think the things that we've been looking at so far are mostly just explorations of this concept. But here, this is an email app, and as we learned yesterday, email apps can apparently be a hell of a lot more than I thought they could be. This would probably work. I mean, you might need to add additional actions, but this could probably work like this. I mean, what do you prefer? Like Apple's built-in email or something like this? This is just so incredibly clear. Talk about focusing on the content, right? Like let the content speak for itself. Yes, here it is, super super clear. Pretty sure that's a custom keyboard though to make it fully get this experience. I'm completely okay with that. Moving on, this is also such a cool concept. This is public transport with the trains of the subway actually visible on the map. Now, unfortunately, like this one shows the public transportation in Berlin, and since I live in Berlin, I can tell you that the public transportation is not going to be updated like this. You're not actually going to know where the train is, but still, it's an incredibly cool concept, and I can totally see this information being available in other cities or in the future, even in Berlin. And just imagine opening this up with you're at this station here in the middle, Kochstrasse. Imagine you're standing on the at the station and you just open your app to see like, okay, when's my next train? Oh, there it is, right? I'm going from here to Seestrasse. I can see the next train will arrive in 6 minutes. It would be so incredibly efficient. This is also one of the negative things about minimalism to this aspect because it is so efficient. You tend to kind of forget about it. It's not cool enough, it doesn't capture you enough that if you would see this, if you had like 10 apps like this on your phone, yes, you would use them and yes, it would feel calm, but pretty soon, you'd probably kind of forget what it was you were looking at. I think I lost the camera there for a second. Never mind. After a while, though, in this project, he starts realizing that there are like I'm sure he realized from the start, of course, but during his progress in the project, more and more like flourishes come in. So this is a music app, and in a music app, of course, you want to respect the artist, so you want to show the cover that they designed for the music they made. I love the retro vibe here, though, because he is pulling in the fact that this was designed as a vinyl record and actually spinning it as a vinyl record. He's also showing the lyrics, so it's like a mismatch, or like it's a mix of the old world art and vinyl experience and the new world. Like you can sing along with the lyrics. Um, I love this app. I wish this app existed. I've contemplated a couple of times if maybe you could like build something like this on top of Spotify's API. Probably can if there was time, which there never is. And like I said, over time, it started getting progressively more crazy. This is such a cool idea. This is a SpaceX tracker. So for a SpaceX launch, or in this case, it's a SpaceX orbit, you could just open an app and follow where the object is around the Earth. In this case, like the information is so vague that it's probably pointless, but damn, that is just there's something about this that just really works for me. And it's such a cool idea to try to describe all of this with so little, like so little on the screen, so few graphical details. More than text now, but still very little stuff. And this is probably like I looked through these to pick out some good examples for this episode of Armchair Safari. And this one just caught my eye. I hadn't seen this before, and I love it because it's so smart. So this is a voice recording app, and what it does is super easy, right? It just has a record button down left and a pause and play button. But the whole thing that makes it work, like it transcribes what you're saying to it, which is nice. But the thing that really makes it work is this super, super minimal animation in the middle. If you don't know what this represents a reel-to-reel tape machine. And he actually made one. I don't know if it was before or after, but here we go. This would be like for a larger app, actually showing the entire reel-to-reel deck thing going on. And I just love this animation, and to reuse it here in such a minimal way is such a cool idea. This could also be a control, right? So if you recorded something and you want to scrobble forwards or backwards on the audio, you could just rotate the thing. It is such a cool design. I just absolutely love this, and just still the complete use of text, right? No icons. All of the interactive things are words that you can press. Why we know that we can press pause, play, and stop instead of the date. Like there's not enough of a visual differentiation for this to actually be super useful. But there's something about it that just feels super cool. Like to me, it feels super cool. Like I love this idea. And I would love to like look into could you do it with a font, right? The active words are the font and the non-active words is another font or something. I don't know. This entire concept, TextOS, is absolutely magical, and I super recommend you check this out. Now, Sam has also been doing a bunch of other stuff, so I very much recommend you check out Sam DAPE on X and follow along with what he's posting because it's really cool stuff. Now, in the normal format, right, I try to go through what is good about this design and what can we learn from it, and what is bad about design and what can we learn from that, and does this work for our user? In this case, though, this is more of an inspiration, right? Because this has absolutely no real world application. He's just exploring how far you can take the minimalism of just using text. But to stay true to the format, let's go through the three and talk about it real quick. First, what is good about it? Well, the good thing here is this really shows you how far you can take constraints. The fact that you can make an app like email using only text means that every time you try to add anything else, you are probably doing it for an aesthetic reason. And even though that might be the right choice, it's something that you should be aware of, right? Because you're making a design choice at that time, and there should be a reason for it, or there should at least be a direction to those choices. So that is a really, really cool level he's taken this to, because it really teaches us something about like how much of what we do is just really for visual flourish. On the negative side, we can also see where this falls over, right? Even in his most minimal examples, there's usually a line somewhere. So just text becomes quite difficult. You probably need some lines or something, depending on what you're trying to do, right? So pretty quickly, it falls flat. But that's the constraint that falls flat, not the design. We can also see from this quite extreme example, or even better yet, let's go back to the music app, right? We can see from this slightly more extreme example that just because we're adding things that are not a part of the constraint doesn't mean we lose the visual aspect of it. So we're not. This still feels like TextOS, right? We're still pushing the constraints so far that there's still a cohesive brand. You can instantly tell that this app is a part of visual of TextOS. You can instantly tell that this is a part of the progression of the other apps we've seen. So there's definitely something to be said of like you can break the constraints you're using, but you should be very aware of when you do that to make sure that you're doing something that works with the constraints you've chosen to create your design. Um, this is pretty much a masterclass of constraints in general. And then, okay, thirdly, and most importantly, is this viable for users? I mean, no, this is an exploration, right? This entire series is an exploration of designs. And I think probably so far, this is the design that we've looked at that can teach us the most because there are so many examples, and the examples are in some cases so extreme. Let's go back to the famous running app, right? To see the extremeness of this. Because the examples are so extreme, it tells you just how much of what we assume to be normal and important really isn't. It's just what we're used to seeing. So we sort of default to those things. Like in this case, everything looks hand drawn. There's nothing that's like one of these common minimal sans serif icons, nothing like that at all. There's no drop shadowing. There's nothing like it, nothing that follows any common rules. And it still looks great. And it still seems to work great. And it's still really creative. So there's a lot to learn, but is it useful for the end user? No, 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 of course not. So I pretty much suspect that this app specifically will probably be built just because people loved it so much and it went so viral. So yes, Sam, I don't know you, but like I applaud you. This is super impressive, and I'm learning a lot from this. And I hope everyone watching is as well. Cool. Have a good night.